discharge double. You have already paid service tax and you will not pay GST. So now come back to a composition scheme for those persons, you the traders, manufacturers who has a turnover of less than 75 lakhs. Lot of people is going to that scheme also, even the manufacturer also. They are floating 4-5 companies amongst all their family members to take the benefit of the same to avoid compliances. So what the provision is, it is a concessional rate of taxation for manufacturer. There is a 1%, for trader 2%. They have to pay GST, and for a restaurant only service provider is covered. Only one service provider is covered, which is restaurant. They have to discharge it at the rate of 5%. In this turnover this is not 50 lakhs. This is 75 lakhs. So this is the rate they people have specified, and that rate is again going to be clubbed. This is only CGST rate, and then you have to double it up plus SGST. Then it becomes 2, 5%, 1%. This is the definition of this composition scheme. Okay, what kind of turnover is going to be covered? This is main important. Who are not entitled for composition scheme? In case of a service provider, all service provider is not applicable composition scheme except restaurant-based business. In terms of those who are dealing in goods, those who are doing interstate outward supply of goods, they are not eligible for the composition scheme. Only within the state people can take the benefit of it. Manufacturing of notified goods, few people have notified manufacturing goods also, for that composition scheme is not applicable. And this is again on 30th June, if you are going for a composition scheme, your stock should not include following things. Make sure that. No collection of tax, no input tax credit. Only you have to specify when your invoice composite taxable person not eligible for collection of tax on suppliers, which includes either goods or services. How to opt for composition scheme? If you going for this registration form, that is also this thing that is I think already done. So if anybody has query, do let me know regarding to opting of composition scheme during the fresh.
Only for goods, not for services.
Even for services, that is covered only for restaurant business, but not
only restaurant.
Yeah, because they people assumes that the service people have the highest margin, so they don't.
That's bullshit. We last time.
So this is withdrawal from composition scheme can also be possible. Now this is the main provision, input tax credit. Lot of business corporate houses facing difficulties what to take the credit and what to not. So input tax credit, what is input tax credit? That will cover inputs, input services, capital goods, inputs excluded from eligibility of rights. So we will discuss it one by one. First, what is input tax credit, which is combination of what you mean to say that on input tax credit on capital goods, input tax credit on services, and input tax credit on normal goods. Plus what you have paid under reverse charge mechanism, that you can also take the credit of it. So that is fall into the definition of an input tax credit. This is main important. What inputs you are going to take the credit? They people have broadly classified those goods which is used or intended to be used only for the furtherance of business. That can be classified under input tax credit. And what is not, they people have also specified certain list which is not eligible for the input tax credit. So these are the list. If you
firefighting system is furtherance of business.
It is not. It is the need of the hour. It is for all corporate user, wherever you are putting this firefighting.
There has been some,
opinion, diverse opinion towards it.
Yeah, some we are taking capital thing,
And what about furniture?
They make it part of the capex.
And somewhere,
but there is a provision, if they are making as a part of a capex and they are not claiming depreciation on the duty component, then they are eligible to take the credit of it. Suppose if you raise an invoice of 1 lakh and say 28% is your duty, 1,28,000, and if they people are going to disclose in their books of account, capitalize that asset as 1,28,000, then they are not able to take the credit. If they classify it 1 lakh and take this 28,000 in separate head, then they are able to claim it out.
Acha, what about date of capitalization? we face this issue quite often with many corporates. That what they do is that suppose they've given issued a purchase order to us for renovation or building or whatever, then just 15 days or 20 days after that they will show that entire project as capitalized in their books. This has happened to us 2 or 3 times. They do that because they want that.
That won't be possible because what capitalization definition says as per Income Tax Act, when goods is put to use for the business.
Correct. So there are many situations wherein they are already using the building.
Okay.
But this purchase order, whatever they are given, they just capitalize for their own
On the
purposes.
basis of purchase order, nobody would do that. If they are doing it, then it is their mistakes.
So we have been subject to substantial tax liability because of this issue previously, because the time period is completely haywire. Na? We are showing as ongoing payment, and they are showing as capitalized.
Agree.
So at the time of income
They
tax,
are also liable to capitalize only to that extent what he have done the payment. But if they are doing it on a higher value without, you can say that making the payment, that is incorrect.
so how do you deal with that?
This is simple. What they people are doing, their concern. You can't help them. You are raising a purchase order.
No, but the problem is we are facing the music for it. Whenever it is going for cross-referencing, it's capitalized on their books. We are showing as ongoing.
But even though that's what I am saying, like in GST regime, everything is the moment they are capitalized at higher value, you have to discharge your liability at higher value. It goes by 1-to-1 mapping. Suppose you have received a payment of 500 rupees, but they have capitalized in the books of account by 5,000.
So they won't be able to do that anymore.
No,
That's what you're trying to say.
obviously they are not going to do that. Unless and until you didn't raise an invoice to them, actual invoice, then they people are not taking the credit and they are not able to capitalize it. What the previous system is going, this is all going to be redundant. It's all system driven based. Know what you mean to say that you can do on your own whims and fancies. So input tax credit shall not be allowable in respect of, you can say that these things, if you are hiring a vehicle sort of, then you are not eligible. So there is a, what you mean to say that planning, if anybody is going to thought of buying a car, buy it before 30th June. You will get a good discount also and you can take the credit of VAT also.
But in case of company transportation providing,
That is allowed. If you are having a team of 30-40 people and giving them the fleet of bus, then it is allowed. That is already covered.
But if we buy a vehicle in the name of company, vehicle as a proprietor company,
No.
proprietor will not get the benefit.
No proprietor, even a company also. If you are giving them the employees to motorcycle, they are not allowed. If it is used towards goods,
तो उसका depreciation भी नहीं मिलेगा.
depreciation you can claim. Depreciation is income tax.
सिर्फ VAT set off नहीं मिलेगा.
VAT set off. That's why this is a planning. You can do it before 30th June because VAT still allows credit on the capital goods.
Now we can take set up of existing stock. Of excise and custom duty, right?
True.
So custom duty, whole custom duty is covered or some part ACD or some ACD?
Except basic custom duty, all things.
Excise duty sales can be taken or not?
Yes, it can be taken.
If you have a extra service tax set off by the period, so how will it be?
You can file the service tax return. Right now, the government has already issued a notification yesterday. April to June का return जो होगा by 15th of August you can claim it. If you have an excess credit, if you don't want to claim it in the new tax regime GST, then you can take the refund of the same.
and
If you want to brought it forward, then you can carry forward.
one other thing, if my interstate selling of goods is too high,
Yes.
and my purchase is local, what will happen is my SGST component is going to keep rising.
Yes.
At some point, I will not be able to set it off again. So is government giving the money back?
Exactly. At the not, you can say that during the tenure of the fiscal year, they people say at the filing of annual return, it means that for 17-18, the return is going to be filed annual. Whatever you do, the monthly compliances that you do, annual return is in the month of September 2018. At that time, you can, what you mean to say that, see, if you want to claim one, if you want to raise a refund, you can raise a request, but only on an annual basis,
Okay.
not on a monthly basis.
One time.
One time, refund every year.
What is the year, like previously it was closing on March 31st. So GST year
July onwards.
July onwards to July to July.
In July to March.
July to March.
July to March, and you can file this as everybody knows in service tax there is no audit, in AMBAT there is an audit that you're supposed to do it before December. So So that limit has been revised. You have to do an audit. And GST, if your turnover is more than a crore, then you have to do an audit before September 2018.
Sir, goods purchased locally in the state and where the tax is applicable. When you are exporting, there is no tax. So this time, this will be credit in my account.
Exactly. It will reflect in your credit later. So now it is your choice. You want to
पहले
pay
क्या
by
था
the
कि we used to give
Then what
H
to do with
form.
the credit?
हाँ,
Can you tell
पहले
me?
हमको
H form देके हम लोग टैक्स नहीं पे करते.
whole concept is written.
अभी टैक्स भरना कंपलसरी है.
Tax bundle.
SEZ.
All C, H form, I form, branch transfer is all abolished.
So SEZ is to be treated like an export oriented.
Export oriented.
ब्रांच
Sir, then
क्या करना है? कैसे
You have to pay tax.
Sir,
There is a concept.
It must be export, na?
In case of branch transfer, if you are doing within Mumbai or within state of Maharashtra, in having a same unit, it is called self-supply. Then it is not taxable. If you are doing a branch transfer interstate, suppose if you have a unit in say Gujarat and you are doing the transfer, you have to discharge your liability. There is a no against form transfer and all.
sir, in the event अपना goods ज़्यादा है, HSN code will be more.
Sorry,
When we are exporting the goods from here, there will be
input tax credit is more.
import हाँ, so that we will be able to take against those goods only,
No.
or for any kind.
To promote and export, you can take the refund also, and if you want to take the offset of, there is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, what you have paid, it's supposed to be exported. Then you can take the benefit of it. There is nothing like you are doing an exempt supply, so that credit will be approved. That is not the process. So you are not eligible to take the set off of these activities also. Food and beverages, health services, outdoor catering, phasal weight. So you will be very cautious while dealing with the corporates. Now the people are not getting the set off of it because the people are getting the set off if they are dealing with their outward same to same mapping. If you are rendering services to any outward subcontracting basis, other outward catering person, then it becomes eligible. Otherwise, it will be a cost for an organization. So these all membership, club, health, fitness, those who are taking the credit of DNI membership also, of service tax credit, that is also ineligible. When going for a renewal, you are going to pay GST, that is not eligible. You can't take the offset of it. And that is main. This is for Mr. Money. If you are having a payroll, if you are having an employee on a payroll, and you are giving them a sort of, you can say that leave travel benefits. Okay, you can take your expenses and I will reimburse it. Lot of corporates do. Now they have to discharge. Corporates have to discharge the liability on these expenditure in reverse charge mechanism. So lot of corporates are going to change their salary structure also to avoid that liability of reverse charge mechanism. Because under reverse charge mechanism, every month you're supposed to draw your profit and loss account and see what our expenditure is debited, how much is unregistered. And then unregistered, you have to classify in your return of income monthly and pay your liabilities.
And what about regular employees who are having
Employees, there is nothing. But in case of an employer, you are giving a leave travel benefits, say traveling allowances, up to a certain extent, 36,000, nothing. And if you are giving more than that, and they people submit these invoices and you reimburse it them, then you have to check it whether all are, how much is the non-registered GSTN based to claim that credit or not. If there is nothing is GSTN based, then you have to discharge the liability on the same. So either you can instruct your employees, okay, whatever you do, deal with registered people, so that I can avoid the headache of paying in RCM. So this is the works contract services. Works contract services is only related to immovable properties.
Just to go back to that, see, I have an employee in Delhi.
I have an employer.
I have an employee in Delhi
Okay.
who is doing, I pay him for the rent and everything, and he stays, food,
If this is-
travel there locally.
If this is a part of your salary structure,
No, it is outside.
so then it's okay. Then what major people do is corporate, they people give you 2 lakhs rupees per month. Don't break up that structure to avoid the liability of your. Under employer-employee scheme, you are not eligible for RCM. So then in that case, the employer's tax will going to be increased. So ultimately, it will fill the coffers of the government. So this is the whole logic. So works contract services, this is applicable to I think in this group Manoj Bhai, Sharatji, Avnish,
Yeah, we fall in WCP. Work contract.
WCP. But this works contract and GST is only related to immovable property. Otherwise, all in your category it will fall into the category of composite supply. Composite supply is again a two different things. Mixed supply or naturally abundant. You can say that one product which is coupled with some other products, then you have to discharge the GST under that rate. There is a concept of composite supply, not under works contract services. So what we have discussed is on what input tax credit is not allowed.
Works contract, what is that? Elaborate on that. How is it going to work?
This is inward supply for outward supply. If you are doing on a subcontract, as you told, if your works contractor is dealing with the works contractor, then he will get the credit of it without any interruption. And if you are dealing works contract for corporates, and if corporates will see if it is furtherance for business, then they are eligible to take the credit. Otherwise, they people won't.
For construction, the vendors are on like labor contractors.
Yes.
They still doesn't have any.
Then you have to discharge. So lot of people, what they are going to do is that suppose if you have a team of 30 people and you want to avoid this, if you put it entire people on a payroll basis, then ESIC and PF will be applicable. So you have to avoid that also. To have a consensus, you can say that, so you can float a separate firm in which you can, what you mean to say, that assign that firm a contracting and keep that firm turnover less than 20 lakhs. That you have to do, otherwise you have to bear the headache of reverse charge mechanism. If you put it on payroll more than 20, then ESIC PF is going to be applicable. If it is okay to you, you want to comply with this labor laws, then go ahead with it. If you don't want to comply with the labor laws, then you have to plan it. You want to hire a professionals without putting on a payroll, then you have to float it.
Temp staff.
What about commission?
Commission.
Commission amount paid to local.
Income tax, that will go in income tax. No CST.
So then you reverse charge. You have to.
Actually, I didn't understand how did you avoid that payroll problem?
I will explain.
हे अलग थी करवाना एक नवी अच्छी का इस्तेमाल
Not for the manufacturers, for the
नहीं for manufacturer also you can do
But
We have
in our case, PF and ESIC is already applicable. Then we
कर
don't
सकते हैं।
want to worry about it. But those people who want to avoid that PF and ESIC obligations,
Okay.
they have to comply with this process to avoid reverse charge mechanism liability.
તારા નામ પર એક નવી કંપની ખોલ 20 લાખની ઇન્ફ્લેટર કરવાનો એમાં ખાલી એમ્પ્લોયી
This is again the manner of utilization of a credit, condition of availment of credit, the simple condition, return furnished, tax paid to the government. Time limit, we have already discussed. Computation of eligible input tax credit, this is also self-explanatory. These are all your goods, service, capital goods. This is the total accumulated credit less what you have done is if you have done a supply to zero rated unit, then it is okay. But if you are done to exempt, then you have to reverse that credit. And if you have booked certain expenditure which of personal use and taken the credit, you have to reverse it. Then final will be your input tax credit. Then you are eligible to take the set off of it. This is again the same calculation, input and input services, total input tax. If you received any credit note less that, this is again for exempt supply, and this credit will goes to your electronic credit ledger, which will help you in making the payment or offsetting the liability. This is the year calculation you also do. Was apart from monthly calculation, every month what is the discrepancy? Suppose if you are in April month, you have taken the credit of 10 and the opposite person has not paid it up. So you can reverse it up and pay the final calculation at the year end.
6 months or year end?
every
Year
month
end, the final is year end.
but monthly we can take it
Monthly you can do that. This is Manojji, जो that you have asked. Suppose both are in the same state. There is a one place of business, additional place of business in same state. Then you are doing a supply, then it is no tax. And in next case, if you are having a two different unit, then you supposed to pay tax within the same state. And this thing again, interstate based transaction, there is no concept of F form, H form, and branch transfer. You have to pay tax.
things which are not included can be taken in expenses.
Sorry.
जहाँ पे टैक्स का सेट ऑफ नहीं मिल रहा है तो कैन अ कंपनी टेक दोज इन एक्सपेंसेस?
Expenditure तो it's open.
Open.
Open window. This is from direct tax point of view, expenditure, allowance or disallowance. And this is for transitional provisions from existing law to GST. If you are existing law, it's also registered, and in GST you are also registered, then you can take the credit brought forward of either SENVAT or VAT, provided all three conditions should be fulfilled. You should have filed your all previous returns of at least 6 months. Compliance should be in place so that you can take the credit forward of it. In case of Janam, in your case, unavailed SENVAT credit in respect of capital goods, you can take it up. You can suppose if you bought it in April to June window, you have bought it capital goods. Under current tax regime, you are taken the credit in 2 installments in 2 financial year. So you can take the unavailed credit in the next GST regime. But make sure that in VAT returns you can show it as a brought forward credit while filing the return of month of June.
Okay. So while I'll be taking a credit in the month of June.
You can show it in the you can take the credit brought forward in the month of June, so that credit can be transferred seamlessly. This is again for inputs held in stocks, and this is the whole concept. Those who are unregistered, trader के case में, if suppose I am a trader and I have in my stock all these things, excise and VAT based. If you are already registered with VAT, then you can take the VAT brought forward credit. What about excise? Then excise, when do you have the bill? Then you can take the credit. If you doesn't have the bill, no documentation, then you can take the credit of 60-40%. You have to see whether that product is covered under new GST regime. It's more than 9%, then you have to take 60%. Then if it is less than 9%, then you can take the credit of 40%.
So end of June, whatever stock we hold, for that what we should do?
Sorry?
By 30th of June, whatever stock we hold with us, तो उसका टैक्स का क्रेडिट हमने ऑलरेडी ले लिया है.
In VAT returns.
हाँ, in VAT returns.
And then transfer it quantity wise, because you have to submit a one declaration form, trans 1. That is a one form. You have to tell all your brought forward credits, all your pending C form, H forms. You have to inform that government it's a 4-pager form, and then accordingly you can take the credit. But we always recommend take the credit to minimum level. And also in the credit provision, you can't take credit forward of goods which is beyond 12 months period. So what we recommend is that you can sell it now to other people so that the other people can take the credit.
तो वो जो जितना
So these
minimum
are
carry
the
for
quick precautions everybody must go for smooth transition filing. So keep ready complete details of closing stock. Arrange for statement of accounts from your supplier and creditors and reconcile it with all your major suppliers who you are dealing with frequent. Rectify if there is any mismatch in purchases. If it is so, then you have to revise your VAT returns. Make strict follow-up to collect all the pending CH forms, because that is main. Otherwise, you have to bear the liability in the new GST regime. And another thing is that you inform your GST and or ARN to all your suppliers of goods and services. So whenever you get an invoice from your vendor, make sure that your GST number should be there. And if you are making a supplier, make sure that your HSN code should be proper. You don't put HSN code which is, suppose your product is fall under a category of 18% and you have put the HSN code of a 28%, then it becomes a, what you mean to say, that extra cost to you. This is the format of an invoice. What you have to classify, these are the CGST, SGST, IGST. These are 3 columns. This column is for HSN code specifier, or for service providers, SAC code. And here you have to specify your GST number, consignor, consignee, or you can say that seller, buyer.
This is the only format which has to be followed, or कहीं पे भी डाल सकते हैं?
You can do that, modify, but make sure that your content should be there.
Content, only content is required.
There is always a classification. Swachh Bharat says KKC. You can't say it 15% service tax. Always want the people have the breakup of it. That's why people have breakup.
ऑनलाइन भरना है क्या?
No. You can raise this invoice physically, जो normal कर रहे हो. But जो यहाँ पे आप reference number create करेंगे, that reference number You have to first generate it from online. And how you are able to generate it? You have to fill an online form. It means you are giving them the entire invoice.
It's the same thing, na?
Huh?
Before raising the invoice,
Yeah, you have to generate this unique number. So what happens is that so when the person who is taking the credit, they will just put your this reference number and all your details is going to be fill it up. It's an autopilot, auto fill form. That's it.
What about rental income to private individual?
Rental income
To private individual.